who occupied the throne of Iran. Baha'u'llah was born and brought up in Tehran. The infancy of Baha'u'llah was a cause of astonishment to his mother and father. Abdu'l-Baha recalled one day, he never cried, never showed restlessness. Mirza Buzurg, his father, has to come to realize that amongst all his sons and daughters, this son, Mirza Hossein Ali, was one apart. Mirza Buzurg built a palatial house in Takur, Mazandaran, and Baha'u'llah always spent part of the year in Takur. Mirza Buzurg, in his own mastery calligraphic hand, had written the following lines in a prominent place in that mansion. When thou reachest the threshold of the beloved, say I. For there neither salam nor alaik can find a way. This is the veil of love. Hold thy steps. This is the holy ground. Shed thy foot gear. It is related that one day when Mirza Hossein Ali was 7 years old and he was walking, his parents were watching him. His mother remarked that he was a little short in stature. His father replied, "That matters not. Do not know how intelligent he is and what wonderful mind he has."
Music. Well, dear beloved friends, we again have the bounty and honor of having Dr. Ahdieh with us tonight. Dr. Ahdieh, as I introduced him before, is a historian, an accomplished educator, and true servant of Baha'u'llah. He never stopped to serve the cause and serve the humanity, the friend. And we have honor to have him to give a talk about the importance of tonight's celebration and the history of, complete history of life of Baha'u'llah. Dr. Ahdieh, welcome and thank you. Please go ahead.
Please unmute yourself, Mr.
Dr. Ahdieh.
Ahdieh. It says Mr. Jordan.
Oh, what happened is when we lost the internet in my apartment, so I'm using Tatiana's cell phone to talk. I think if we get the system back, then I would go back to the PC. So this is what we have. You see me all right, honey, Azito?
Yes.
You do see. And okay, friends, this is a wonderful evening. A little while earlier, I participated in another Zoom. I was telling the friend earlier that the New York Special Assembly has made arrangement, and it was very interesting and innovative. What they have done,
Ask who it is.
they ask every family.
Who is it? Ask who is it? Who is it?
I think you should mute everybody.
She says, Ebony.
Okay, sorry. Okay, unmute yourself again, please.
I want to know that we are in a whole new territory with this Zooming business. And I have a feeling that it really is helping the Baha'i community all over the world, because I'm meeting so many people that I would never have a chance in my life to get the chance to know them. For example, this gentleman who chanted the prayer at the beginning, was his name Mr. Monferret?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was absolutely beautiful. I really enjoyed that listening to him while he was chanting that prayer. And of course, the other individual in the program. It's a happy occasion tonight. And I'm sure you realize that at this very moment, at least 100 or 200,000 Baha'i community all over the world are celebrating this wonderful occasion. And thanks God, with this new Badi calendar that the House of Justice has introduced, historically in Persia, in the East, the calendar was as such that the Bab and Baha'u'llah's birthday would follow each other historically for the last 150 years. But in the West, because we were following the Gregorian calendar, it was November and this and that. Now, for the last few years, we have these twin holidays, and it's so wonderful to have a double pleasure one day after another. I think the lady who read some short stories about the early life of the Baha'u'llah and his ancestor, I got a little scared. I thought she's going to read my whole talk, because this was supposed to be a starting point on my talk, to start to talk about his ancestor. But thanks God, she stopped. Oh, I'm so proud of Azita. You notice that she mentioned about Baha'u'llah's father, Mirza Buzurg. This is his picture. He was very handsome, very talented, and quite an accomplished calligrapher. And because of his calligraphical ability, he became very popular in the court of the Fath Ali Shah. And actually, because of that, he was given the title of Mirza Bozorg, because originally he was known as Mirza Abbas Nuri. But then after that, he began to use the title of Mirza Bozorg. I think that, again, the young lady made a reference that the ancestor of Baha'u'llah, they go back to the Sasanian dynasty. This was the dynasty that was destroyed by the Muslim and the Arabs when they attacked Persia more than 1,000 years ago. It's amazing that a group of dedicated Muslim, the Arabs, who came from Arabia, they were able in a short period of time to destroy two major empires. One was the Persian Empire, the other one was a Roman Empire. And one reason, and Yazdegerd III was the emperor of Persia, and I think some of my Persian friends may know the story, and the rest of you could study. There was an extended battle took place between Yazdegerd III soldiers and these Arab invaders. But then because the whole Persian society, especially the court of the Shah, was so corrupt and so lowest ebb that they could reach, this group of Arab dedicated Muslim, they could easily destroy the whole empire. One thing happened, the Arabs, when they attacked Persia, and they easily took over the whole country, they could not attack and destroy the northern part of Iran, which is Mazandaran and Gilan. And this is the area that the family of Baha'u'llah have come from. That's why, you know, the great, this is the house of the Baha'u'llah and his father, Mirza Bozorg, in Takur. Mirza Bozorg had a very good taste of building houses in different places. This is a magnificent mansion in Takur. And then he had a number of beautiful houses in Tehran that still existed. Can you try and see if you can get the other system going? I hold this. What happened is that the Mazandaran and Gilan were mountain area, were forest area, and the Arabs were not used to waging a battle in that part of the world. So Islam really did not get to family of the Baha'u'llah and other for a long time. But of course, eventually they became Muslim. But the interesting part is that they did not become Sunni. Majority of them, they became Shia, because as again is a historical point that the Iranian system and government. Okay, sorry. Turn this off.
There you go.
We're trying to move back to the. You have to also. Thanks. Also unmute and show me the whole face. Ah, this is better. Can you show the whole face? Okay, that's fine. So this is the background of how there's a great Baha'i scholar that I'm sure most of you have heard his name, is Abul Faza'il Golpaigani. And he has done extensive research in the genealogy of Baha'u'llah's family, and he traced them back, as we mentioned, to Yazdegerd III, the last emperor of Sasanian dynasty. You have to realize also that at this time, the court of Fath Ali Shah, that we have his picture and we could show it to you. This is Fath Ali Shah. Mirza Bozorg was really in the court of this king. This king was very fond of calligraphy. And because Mirza Abbas Nuri was such a wonderful calligrapher, he gave him lots of reward, money, and he even made him, I think, the governor of Lorestan for a while. But the trouble is, oh, this man is interesting. No, I should tell you one thing. Mirza Bozorg had 7 wives. For the life of me, I don't know how these people could have 7 wives. I have one, I'm going crazy. And then these people have 7, he had 7 wives. And then, of course, this king was even worse. The story goes, would you believe it if I tell you he had 500 wives? This is unbelievable. Of course, he had hundreds of sons and daughters, and each one of them were sucking the blood of the poor Persian people. They were governor of different provinces. They were running different cities. And so that's why the country goes farther and farther down the hill. The prime minister of this guy, and then later on his son Muhammad Shah, was a guy by the name Haji Mirza Aghasi. You may have heard his name because he was an awful enemy of the Bab, and he was an awful enemy of Baha'u'llah's family. He did his best to destroy the life of Baha'u'llah's father, because there was always this jealousy and competition and intrigue of the court. And at some point, actually, this Aghasi, the prime minister, said that he cannot believe that this man, he hated the old man so much. One of the 7 wives of the, this we can show later. This is my favorite friend, Mishkin Kalam, because I'm going to talk about him later. So just look at his cute face. So remember him for later. One of the wives of Baha'u'llah's father was a daughter of the king, Fath Ali Shah. So you realize that because of the relation in the court and all that, Baha'u'llah had lots of family, sisters, brothers, cousins, other, all over the country. And actually, in one occasion, I think one of his sisters married somebody, what was his name? By name Ahdieh, I think. And he was working for the Russian consulate, and it was really intervention of the Russian consul and Russian ambassador that after almost were going to kill Baha'u'llah, but instead they put him in prison and they sent him to exile. And I think probably this relation to this man helped in that area. Baha'u'llah was born in the area called Shimran. Shimran is the north of Tehran. Is a very beautiful area. I remember many years ago when I left Iran when I was 17, 18 years old, a teenager. And my recollection of Shimran is that it was quite a beautiful area in north of Tehran that many rich people had their summer houses there. His father died in the year 1839, Mirza Bozorg. And as it was mentioned, and he was buried in the city Najaf. It seemed that those days, the prominent people, when they die in Persia, they would carry their body either to Karbala or Najaf. And it's, I think, one reason that in the Baha'i writing is a law that from the place that you die, from the place you buried, should be only 1 hour to prevent these silly things that you take the dead body and you carry it all the way for days and weeks to Karbala or to Najaf or to Mashhad to be buried in that area. It was a common practice, and rich people always wanted to be buried next to Imam Hussein. I don't know what's the advantage of that. Dead body is a dead body, but that's how they like it. It's interesting. There are not much information about Baha'u'llah's childhood and youth. We have lots of information after he declared himself, after he went to Baghdad, but I'm trying to concentrate as much as I can to deal with the period before his declaration. So at least we have some idea of his background before he officially became announced that he's a prophet. In his childhood, he had the numerous dreams. And some of the dream, I think, is shared in Dawnbreaker and other places. One is the story that he dreamed that on land, he was attacked by lots of birds, and then he went to the sea, and then in the sea, he was attacked by many fish. And then when they tried to interpret his dream, they were told that he's going to be attacked and surrounded by many people throughout his life. It was make a reference that he was not a very tall man, he was short, but then everyone knows that usually short people are much smarter than tall people. I'm telling you this because I'm short myself. So this is always my justification for my short height. The training and education that somebody like Mirza Hussein Ali, otherwise known as Janab Baha, otherwise known as Baha'u'llah, would get was a sort of thing that higher echelon of Persian society would get. They become a wonderful horse riding was one of their hobby. And so Baha'u'llah himself was a great horse rider. They would learn how to handle gun. It was an art of that they should learn. Swordmanship was very important among them, that they would learn how to handle sword and all that. They would often learn how to be a good calligrapher. We have some sample of the handwriting of Baha'u'llah, and they are quite beautiful. They would study the classical poetry of Persia. They memorize Hafez, they memorize Sa'di, they memorize Omar Khayyam, and others. So this was another thing to do. Definitely, they have to study and read Quran, which was the holy book for the time. And of course, the art of good manner and behavior was also part of their training. Another story which is very popular among the Baha'is and probably have seen, they said at the age of 14, Baha'u'llah was attending a wedding of one of his sisters, which I don't remember which one. I used to know her name. And they said that in the wedding, part of the celebration, they had the puppet show. And this puppeteer had a bunch of dolls and things like this and keep moving them. It was all showing the king and the intrigue and the minister and the war minister and going to battle and doing all these things. And of course, the kids, even adults, were enjoying themselves. Then he noticed that and from a distance, Baha'u'llah was watching this, that at the end of the show, the puppeteer collected all his dolls and walked away. And so he was carrying a box, and he turned to him, Baha'u'llah turned to him asking, dear friend, what do you have in your box? And the man said, oh, I have the king, I have the minister, I have this one, I have that one. And he said, can you imagine, this is the affair of the world, that everything is nothing but the show, that one moment you carry all this act and all that, the next moment you're all in the box. So I thought that was cute, so I can share it with you. One ability that Baha'u'llah had, and everyone during his youth remembered that, was his mastery of discussing and arguing a religious point. He would attend sometime some of the lectures that different mullahs were giving, either in Takur, in Nur, in Mazandaran, or in Tehran. And he would open and offer this answer. And he said, it's amazing. Some of these mullahs and some of these teachers were quite impressed by the depth of his knowledge and the way he explained all those things. It seemed people those days always wanted to understand what is their dreams are. So we have a whole bunch of dreams that related to Baha'u'llah, and maybe on some other occasion you can study it or I can share it with you. When he was 18 years old, they found a very pretty woman, good-looking lady, by the name Asiya Khanum to marry. And Asiya Khanum was the mother of Abdul Baha, and Baha'u'llah loved her very much. And in lots of writing and tablets of Baha'u'llah and Abdul Baha, there are references to this wonderful woman, Asiya Khanum. Another thing that I think is interesting about this family, I think I make mention, that is the Mirza Buzurg, a magnificent houses, either in Mazandaran or Tehran, and they are so beautiful that are still in existence. They have not been destroyed, even though the enemy of the faith always looking for excuse to destroy this camp. They did destroy the house of Bab in Shiraz, for example, but they have not touched the house of Baha'u'llah in Tehran or the Takur. One of them, I think, was destroyed. Baha'u'llah was known for his charity and his love and affection and attention that he would give to the poor and wretched of Tehran. So he was known as the father of the poor or the father of the orphans. How he became Babi is also interesting. I think he was around the age of 26, 27 years old. It was around that time that Bab has made his declaration and he was planning to go to Mecca. Mullah Hussein, being the first believer and a leading student of Sayyid Kazem, was very much hoping to go with Bab for the pilgrim to Mecca. But instead, Bab chose Quddus to accompany him. This upset Mullah Hussein a little bit, I'm sure, because you can see in one of the letters that he wrote to Mullah Hussein. But he told Mullah Hussein, Bab, that even though you're not coming with us to Mecca for pilgrim, I'm sending you for a mission much mightier and more important than the idea of to become Haji and coming with us to Arabia. His mission was that he should go to Tehran and look for someone, and Bob did not tell him who, look for someone special and give him this special collection of writing and scroll and all that. Mullah Hussein have faith the same way he said, I found Bab in Shiraz, I'm going to find this man in Tehran. So he traveled to Tehran, and those days was a customary that mullahs and students of religion, they had some seminaries and they had convent that they would stay with. So he moved to one of the popular places in Tehran for mullahs to stay. It's like a retreat or hotel for them. He met a couple of people there, and in the course of conversation with somebody, asked him that where you come from, what's your story? And he found out that he is from Nur, Mazandaran. He said, who else is there from Nur? And the man said, oh, there is a very charming, very intelligent, very charitable, wonderful man by the name Mirza Hussein Ali. And he is this, and he talked about him a great deal. Mullah Hussein's heart moves somehow. You have to remember, these are mysterious and mystical relations that people have among each other. I wish I could have some of that, but I don't. So he gave those collection of writing that Bob has given to him. He said, please give this material to this young man from Nur on my behalf, and please come back with his answer. So the fellow took the information and gave it to, went to the house of Baha'u'llah and presented him those stuff. Baha'u'llah was quite excited to receive those material. And as a gift for Mullah Hussein, he sent some Russian sugar, they said, and some beautiful other gift and item. And you should see, they said Mullah Hussein was so excited and so pleased to receive this answer and receive this gift from Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah, there's another story that comes to my mind, which was very interesting. They said after he became Babi, after reading those manuscripts and reading other writing, he actively started to teach the faith, and many people came to faith because of him. In one occasion, when he went back to Mazandaran toward his home, in the forest, he saw this dervish is sitting on the top of the small hill and looked like he's cooking something. So he turned to Dervish and he asked, my dear friend, what are you doing and what are you cooking? So Dervish said, oh, I'm cooking the God. Can you imagine this? So everybody thought he's crazy, that, I'm cooking God, I'm cooking God. So Baha'u'llah was very impressed with that and smiled and have more conversation. This fellow fell in love with Baha'u'llah. And he said for many years, he became Babi and most likely later Baha'i. He was following Baha'u'llah all over the place. I don't want to tonight talk about the suffering of Baha'u'llah, because there was plenty suffering. Tonight is a happy occasion. So I just want to tell you that he was in 2 occasions, he was arrested and he was physically abused and tortured. One was after the assassination of the uncle of Tahirih. They were looking for all the leading Babis who also. And then, of course, later on, again, when he was heading toward Tabarsi, because he wanted to join the forces of Mullah Hussein and Quddus in Tabarsi, he was again arrested in the city of Amol, I think, and he was physically tortured and punished. The most significant event that took place in that period of time, that I'm 100% sure that you are all aware of that, is the Conference of Badasht. That again, this was the contribution of Baha'u'llah. He organized this conference. It was attended by 81 people, lasted for 22 days. He paid for all the expenses, renting 3 gardens for Tahirih, Quddus himself, set up tents for all the other believers. And the significant thing about this conference was, for the first time, perhaps 81 of them, they get together to discuss what is their fate all about, where are they going, and what they are going to do. Another idea they had, they were hoping to discuss and find a way to rescue Bob from the prison. That did not materialize. But what it materialized, especially with the act of Tahirih or unveiling herself, they showed they are breaking from the past. Islam is over, and a new day and new religion has started. It was in this occasion that again Baha'u'llah, every day there was a tablet was recited, which was of course written by Baha'u'llah, and nobody knew who is behind it. And it was those days that he was giving name and a title to every believer in that occasion. I have one more picture to show you and tell you a couple of stories. You see, all I show so far was all these kings and Mirza Buzurg, Fath Ali Shah, Muhammad Shah. This was the one that was very anxious to, Muhammad Shah was anxious to meet Bab. He's the one who sent Wahid to Shiraz to investigate the truth of the Babi dispensation. And he was a Sufi, and he really was anxious to meet Bab, but it never materialized. But my favorite of all these pictures are the one that Azito is going to show, is a picture of this man called Mishkin Galam. This is on. Can you imagine this sweet old man? Compare his face and his outfit with all those kings that you saw their picture. Those kings are all in the hell, I assure you. And this man, for centuries to come, we're going to remember him, not only because of his great talent of being one of wonderful calligrapher of the time, but also because of his commitment and dedication to Baha'u'llah. There are lots of stories that relate. He has a great sense of humor, and he spent many years with Baha'u'llah. And I remember some of the stories that I share with you. There is no 100% assurance that these stories are exactly happened the way I described to you, but something must have happened that we keep repeating it. One occasion, they said in Akka, on occasion, Baha'u'llah would invite some non-Baha'i dignitary or leading figure for a dinner. And in those occasions, he would ask the different Baha'is to contribute something to make the dinner party more appealing. Somebody had the fancy carpet, he would bring the carpet. Somebody had nice dishes. And it happened that Mishkin Galam had the samovar that you can make the tea or and to serve. So Baha'u'llah sent his servant or his assistant and asked Mishkin Galam, please let us have the samovar because tonight Mr. So-and-so is coming for dinner. And so the guy goes and asks him for samovar. He said, no, go and tell Baha'u'llah, I'm not giving it to him. The man was so shocked. He said, no, I'm not giving it to him. So he went to Baha'u'llah. He said, he refused to give you the samovar. Baha'u'llah smiled. He said, go back again and ask him, please, let us have your samovar. Again, he said, no, I'm not giving the samovar. So finally, Baha'u'llah said, tell him to come. We like to see him, see what's going on. So when he came over, and Baha'u'llah asked him, how come you're not giving us your samovar? And he keeps saying, no, no, no. He said, beloved Baha'u'llah, all my life I have asked you for so many things, and you constantly tell me, no, 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 no. I just want to give you a taste of how it feels to say no to somebody. And I think that's very cute, what he did. There is one more story, which I tell you, I may get in trouble, but I share with you anyway. They said in one occasion, he was very sick. He had a high fever, and he really felt like that he's dying. And he was a little mischievous. You can see from his face, actually, that he was sometimes mischievous. So as he's laying down in the bed and he's hallucinating and he has a high fever, he asked his wife to come by him. She came by, he said, sweetheart, can you imagine a Persian man in those days call his wife a sweetheart? He said, sweetheart, I want you to go and put your best dress on and put some nice lipstick and some makeup. The woman was so shocked. I figured out, okay, he's hallucinating, but he's asking for all this. So she went there and put nice dress on and put some makeup on, came back. So then Mishkin Kalam said, I want you to sit next to me and hold my hand. Again, she was shocked, but she did it. So then he said, Mishkin, why are you doing this? He said, tonight, this is so bad. He said, tonight, Angel Israel is coming to take me. I feel like. I'm hoping that he would find you more attractive. So instead of me, he would take you. So this was his type of very, actually not very nice way of being funny. Anyway, Tatiana has also a story about this Bashir Ghalam. Maybe Tatiana is my Bulgarian assistant, and she and her husband, they are caretaker of New York Baha'i Center, and it's so wonderful to have her here. So I'm going to ask her to also share the story of of Bashir Ghalam.
We have talked a lot, but this story goes like that. Mishkin Kalam was with Baha'u'llah in Edirne, and shortly after Baha'u'llah was sent to Akka, Mishkin Kalam was sent with his enemies as well as the enemies of Baha'u'llah. Those were the Azalis, who were exiled in one of the islands, Cyprus. And unfortunately, Mishkin Kalam was very, very sad about that because he wanted to go with his beloved. So being in Cyprus, a very dry climate, no rain for whole summer, they have to live in. And Mishkin Kalam was bothered, as well as other Baha'is, by Azalis who have been constantly complaining about Baha'is. So one day, Mishkin Kalam decided to do something interesting. So he went and told the people in the town that, you know why you don't have any rain this summer? It is because there is a magician in our town who arrived with me, and he was talking about Azal. And this magician is keeping all his magics in a basket on the ceiling in his room. So as long as he has this basket, you will not have rain. So people, as much as they may believe him, they keep being silent about that, but time passes and rain is not coming. So one night, Mishkin Kalam hears friend of him coming to him and saying, Mishkin, come here, you have to see that. He says, what is happening? The town people came to Azal and they have put in flame his basket with all the documents, which were actually, he was writing complaints about the Baha'is and he will send them to authorities. So the basket was full of these documents and they were all gone. At that very moment, Mishkin Kalam fell on his knees and started praying fervently to Baha'u'llah, saying, Baha'u'llah, you have to save me. You have to give me rain, because if tomorrow morning there is no rain, I will be killed by these town people. Guess what? He fell asleep from exhaustion of prayers, and he woke up with a drop of rain on his nose. It was start raining and he jumped on the rain, started singing and dancing all over, and was so happy that his prayers have worked out. Shortly after, he was blessed to actually move to Akka and stay in the presence of Baha'u'llah. I wish to say good night to you and happy holidays and give back.
No, sorry, do it there.
No? All right. So.
Thank you, Tatiana. I told you at the beginning that it's going to be a joyous occasion, and I thought we would finish it by remembering Mishkin Kalam and his devotion and his love for Baha'u'llah. I wish all of you a very joyous, very happy birthday to Baha'u'llah, and looking forward to see you in future. Allahu Akbar.
This is the tablet of visitation. The praise which hath dawned from thy most august self, and the glory which hath shone from thy most effulgent beauty, rest upon thee, O thou who art the manifestation of grandeur, and the King of eternity, and the Lord of all who are in heaven and on earth. I testify that through thee, the sovereignty of God and his dominion, the majesty of God and his grandeur were revealed, and the day stars of ancient splendor have shed their radiance in the heaven of thy irrevocable Kuri, and the beauty of the unseen hath shone forth above the horizon of creation. I testify, moreover, that with but a movement of thy pen, injunction be thou hath been enforced, and God's hidden secret hath been divulged, and all created things have been called into being, and all revelations have been sent down. I bear witness, moreover, that through thy beauty, the beauty of the adored one hath been unveiled, and through thy face, the face of the desired one hath shone forth, and that through a word from thee, thou hast decided between all created things, causing them who are devoted to thee to ascend unto the summit of glory, and the infidels to fall into the lowest abyss. I bear witness that he hath known thee hath known God, and who hath attained unto thy presence hath attained unto the presence of God. Great, therefore, is the blessedness of him who hath believed in thee, and in thy signs, and hath humbled himself before thy sovereignty, and hath been honored with meeting thee, and hath attained the good pleasure of thy will, and circled around thee, and stood before thy throne. Woe betide him that hath transgressed against thee, and hath denied thee, and repudiated thy signs, and gainsaid thy sovereignty, and risen up against thee, and waxed proud before thy face, and hath disputed thy testimonies, and fled from thy rule and thy dominion, and hath been numbered with the infidels, whose names have been inscribed by the fingers of thy behest upon thy holy tablets. Waft then unto me, O my God and my beloved, from the right hand of thy mercy and thy loving kindness, the holy breaths of thy favors, that they may draw me away from myself and from the world, unto the courts of thy nearness and thy presence. Potent art thou to do what pleaseth thee. Thou art truly hast been supreme over all things. The remembrance of God and his praise, and the glory of God and his splendor rest upon thee, O thou who art his beauty. I bear witness that the eye of creation hath never gazed upon wrong like thee. Thou wast immersed all the days of thy life beneath an ocean of tribulations. At one time, thou wast in chains and fetters. At another, thou wast threatened with the sword of thy enemies. Yet, despite all this, thou didst enjoin upon all men to observe what hath been prescribed unto thee by him who is the all-knowing, the all-wise. May my spirit be a sacrifice to the wrongs thou didst suffer, and my soul be a ransom for the adversities thou didst sustain. I beseech thee, God, by thee and by them whose faces have been illumined with the splendors of the light of thy countenance, and who, for love of thee, have observed all whereunto they were bidden, to remove the veils that have come between thee and thy creatures, and to supply me with the good of this world and the world to come. Thou art in truth the Almighty, the most exalted, the all-glorious, the ever-forgiving, the most compassionate. Bless thou, O Lord my God, the divine low treat, and its leaves, and its boughs, and its branches, and its stems, and its offshoots, as long as thy most excellent titles will endure, and thy most august attributes will last. Protected then from the mischief of the aggressor and the hosts of tyranny, thou art in truth the Almighty, the most powerful. Bless thou also, O my God, thy servants and thy handmaidens, who have attained unto thee. Thou truly art the all-bountiful, whose grace is infinite. No God is there save thee, the ever-forgiving, the most generous.
The photograph I see comes alive so easily and tells me of a life that was so pure.
He would never turn away from anyone, and the love in his eyes is so real.
He suffered all his life to show us how to be free. He could always love his enemy.
And through the worst of trials, he could always smile and lift the heart of every friend up so high. Abdul Baha was his name, and Abdul Baha was his life.
Abdul Baha was his aim. His whole life was he could take the hand of a sad and lonely man and wash away his fear for a while.
He could understand the secrets we defend
And make it feel that living was worthwhile.
Abdul Baha was his name, and Abdul Baha was his life. Abdul Baha was his aim, his whole life a sacrifice. Abdul Baha. And anytime you feel bruised at heart, remember his glorious smile. Call to mind the promise he made.
I will be with you always. Abdul Baha was his name, and Abdul Baha was his life.
Abdul Baha was his aim, his whole life a sacrifice. Abdul Baha.
His whole life a sacrifice.
Abdul Baha. Abdul Baha.
Dear beloved friend, I'd like to thank Dr.H.Ahdieh again for his coming and giving us a great talk and truly made our celebration meaningful with his joyful stories of the life of uh, Mission Haram and his sense of humor. Dr.H.Ahdieh wrote a book called Foreigner. And this Foreigner book, really, you have to read to enjoy your life and your time because you know how much we enjoyed of his talk tonight. When you read that book, you will laugh all your life because it took us such an amazing journey from Persia to the US. And one night, Dr.H.Ahdieh told us part of that story, and around 400-500 people, they were laughing, smiling of the stories of his life. Dr.H.Ahdieh, thank you so much again. And
Thank you. Merci, Aziz.
you're welcome. And we are going to invite you more and more now that you let us to. We got addicted now to have you here.
It's a pleasure.
And I'd like to thank Tatiana also for her great contribution. We are going to, we couldn't have a picture of Baha'u'llah, so I thought instead we would have a picture of beloved Master. that he's successful and the example of Baha'i and the mystery of God. It was great to see that video. Please continue to be with us, and Mrs. Yazdani is going to chant with her melodious voice, and then we will have more video and songs coming up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sardar.
You're welcome.
ای یار روحانی یوسف اسرار به بازار در آمد ای چشم تو روشن ای چشم تو روشن یا با روی منور با بوی منبر در محفل اسرار در آمد ای چشم تو روشن ای چشم تو روشن با عارض چون گل با ساغر پرمول در مجلس ابرار در آمد ای چشم تو روشن ای چشم تو روشن با نرگس فتان با آن لب خندان در منزل اخیار در آمد ای چشم تو روشن ای چشم تو روشن این
So, dear Khanum Farzone, there was another video. If you could show us the other video.
آقای سرداری مثل اینکه فکر کنم از آزیتا جون میخواید نه از من.
بله.
آقای سرداری من فقط 2 تا ویدیو داشتم. I had 2 videos.
There was one with the
Can you resend it to me, please? I can ask Awa to sing a song while you're sending it to me, please.
Yes.
Thank
Or
you.
you can choose one. You can have one you like to show.
Okay, I have one that I can show.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Good.
let me ask Awa to sing.
Yes.
Unite and bind together the hearts. Unite and bind together the hearts. Join in core and all the souls. Join in core and all the souls. Or make these faces radiant through the light of thy oneness. Unite and bind together the hearts. Unite and bind together the hearts. Join a core and all the souls. Join a core and all the souls. Lord, make these faces radiant through the light of thy oneness.
Thank you. Let me choose a song for you guys. Just a minute.
Sure.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Zita Jane.
Sure. Okay, is this end of our program, Mr. Sardari? Oh, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Thank you again, and congratulations to your wonderful assembly. Really, this was such a joyful to spend this time with you. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for
Good night.
coming.
Thank you.
Aloha.
Aloha, Paul.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
Aloha, Paul.
Thank you for coming. Aloha.